Welcome to Business Builder Radio, sponsored by Texas Business Buyers, where we talk about your life and your business and getting the most out of both. Here's your host, Clint Fiore.
Hello. Welcome to Business Builder Radio. I'm your host, Clint Fiore. This is the show where we talk about your life, your business, getting the most out of both. You know, we had a great week last week. Thank you so much for listening into the inaugural show. We talked a lot about sales. If you want to learn about sales, be sure and go to 1230 KERV's website and watch the replay. And we're also going to put that up on the podcast coming soon for Business Builder Radio. So last week was me talking a lot about teaching about a subject. This week I want to bring you some interviews. I promised you some interviews, and boy do we have some awesome ones this week. I have Hema Pandya, the COO of 10 Star Foods. I want to get to her first. We just had a phone interview that I'm going to play for you today, and Hema is a friend of a friend that I met. She's in Austin. She's a Texan through and through. She's of Indian descent and makes ghee from grass-fed butter. You're going to learn about that in this interview, but I have used ghee and I've used her products, and they have been a big part of my health transformation that I've been on, is going to healthy fats, going away from the bad stuff and vegetable oils and fried junk food, and going to more healthy things like grass-fed butter and ghee and animal fats. And we have with us today one of the leading entrepreneurs in this space, Hema from 10 Star Foods, and I'm just going to let her introduce herself. So welcome, Hema, to the Business Builder Radio. Hi, Hema.
Hi.
Hey, welcome to Business Builder Radio. Thank you very much for coming on with me. This is Hema Pandya. Is that saying it? Yep. Pandya? Okay. She is the GEO or COO of 10 Star Foods. And thank you for coming. I just want you to quickly tell everyone what is 10 Star Foods and what is ghee?
Okay, so 10 Star Foods is a company that I started July of 2014. It was me, and I had about $50 in hand. And I needed to find a grass-fed option for ghee. And ghee is a clarified butter that had all the lactose and casein taken out of it. And so for me, there was products that were available on the store shelves, but they just didn't taste good, or they weren't of the quality that I wanted. And ghee is a very nutrient-dense, super flavorful cooking fat. It's vegetarian. So most cooking fats that have a really high smoke point are the lard, the beef fat, duck fat, chicken fat. And there weren't a lot of options for vegetarians in the market outside of ghee. Butter tends to burn at 285 as a smoke point. And for us, for most animal-based cooking fats, you can get that smoke point up to 485. And so what cooking with an animal-based fat like ghee or tallow or something like that, it allows you to, be able to cook your foods without the oxidization that happens with most cooking oils, because they burn at a lower smoke point. So in this growing market of, healthy fats, because the fear of fat's basically going away now. People are understanding that fats are healthy and good. It was really important for me to create a product that was accessible to customers and that was easy to understand and didn't take a lot of explanation. And, for the most part over the last couple of years, it's been a really well-received product, and we're growing by leaps and bounds right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, for the listeners out there, I met Hema not too long ago. We had lunch together in Austin. She's a friend of a friend. She knows my brother, and they run in the same kind of fitness circles. And Hema is just a superstar. I really enjoyed my lunch with her. She has such an awesome story. It's a perfect entrepreneur story. And after we had lunch, I knew we had to have her on this show. And I'm one of these people, Hema, that I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that people are brought into our lives at the right time for the right reasons. And I've been on this personal journey to kind of get healthier, to learn more about nutrition. And I've been trying to reverse a lot of years of making bad health choices and get myself in better shape. And one of the things that I discovered was, like you were saying, that fat. I've lost about 30 pounds, and I've dramatically upped my fat intake over that time. not on fried food from fast food restaurants and stuff, but on good fats like eggs and natural butters and animal fats and things like that. And I just learned what ghee was not that long ago, and became a fan of it. And then I was introduced to you, and I heard your entrepreneur story, and I was just like, man, people need to know about your product, and it's delicious. It is the best
Thank you.
ghee that I've had. I got some samples of her ghee and her brown butter, and they're fantastic. But it's also a great entrepreneur story. So, what was your education, and what did you do before 10 Star Foods?
Yeah. So I went to the University of North Texas here, or north in Dallas, and I got a degree in logistics and supply chain management with a background in operations management. So I had a very technical background. And right after I graduated, I ended up at Raytheon, and I did everything from operations management, inventory management, buying, planning, materials estimating. So I had a very broad spectrum of experience within supply chain and operations. And that actually took me to California. I ended up in a consulting role. And, just over the course of being out there in California, I ended up getting really sick. And I ended up having to do basically a 30-day elimination diet. And one of the only foods that I could have in my system, one of the only fats I could cook with, was ghee, just because of the sheer amount of health benefits associated with it. And so after being in consulting and working these crazy hours and getting really sick, it was a very easy transition into, okay, I've got a great product, I want to make it, and there's other people that want it. So that's kind of how I ended up at 10 Star Foods. And so all the experience that I had in operations and supply chain completely played into what we were doing here as a food manufacturing company.
Mm-hmm. And so you started small, and walk me through the timeline one more time. When did you found your company?
So I started making product in April of 2014. May, I reached out to a couple people through social media and just knew a few people in the paleo industry, just going to workshops and training sessions and stuff. Reached out to them and had a really strong network to begin with, just from a previous lifetime of investing in these relationships, just because I needed to and felt the desire to connect with these people. And then in June, I made my first $1,000, and I took that cash and got incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of 2014, we sold $12,000 in sales. And at the end of 2015, it was $650,000 in sales.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big growth rate. So you went from 12,000 in 2014 to over 650,000 in 2015. Wow. Yeah. So what is your 2016 going to be? What are you thinking for this year?
So based on what we have in the pipeline as confirmed sales, we're looking at about $2 million. And then if we go from there and invest back into distribution and sales and marketing, we have a shot at pulling in at about $4 million this year in sales.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's just huge demand for this product. Is that safe to say?
You.
I can hear you.
No. Oh.
I've got you. Okay. We're okay. You got me okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so there's obviously a huge demand for this product. How have you been able to scale so fast?
Well, I think, we started really small, and I didn't grow beyond what we had in the bank to support. And so if I didn't have the cash to support future sales, I wouldn't take on new business. And, it was a lot of negotiating payment terms. So we were able to offer discounts in lieu of a net 30 payment. So we'll give you a little bit extra off, but we need cash up front. And so we were able to float our cash flow because we were getting payments when we needed them. And unfortunately, it was a blessing and a curse because we have a cash-based business. It's great because we're not in debt to anybody. But at the same time, I didn't invest enough time early on in seeking out investors or partners. And I think looking back now, I wish I would have done that. Hindsight's always 20/20. We've had a great experience so far, but that's something that I'm kind of struggling with right now is, if we want to take this to the next step, which is another massive jump from where we are right now, I'm going to have to get, physically some support, emotionally trying to run the company and like some, just mentorship and advice on how to get this thing to that next step. And so We've been able to float it just because our payment terms and what we've negotiated with our suppliers and with our customers. That was a huge part of it. And then like the physical aspect of scaling it, really we controlled our growth. That was the biggest thing, is that I didn't take on business that I couldn't handle.
Mm-hmm.
So
you've had to put on the brakes a few times. I think there's people that have approached you that have big boxes and big opportunities, and you had to say, hey, we got to stay within our means right now.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's a tough call to make, but I can see there's a lot of wisdom in that. You don't want anyone that can sink your ship by too big of an order. So you've got people waiting to do larger orders. You think this is a year you're looking for strategic partners and people that can kind of help you go up to the next level. It's kind of getting out of that, out of your car, out of your garage type of thing, and now into the mainstream and into a household name. That's where you're at in 2016. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I think, we moved operations from Los Angeles, where we owned a facility and we're running it on our own. Not owned it, but we were leasing from a shared facility, but it was our own space that we owned production in. And we moved that out to third-party production because we needed to be able to scale very quickly. And we got a couple large accounts in the last 3 months that were like, you know what? I'd rather just sit back and focus on sales and managing my supply chain than actually producing a product. And we found a company that was willing to do it our way and really stick to the processes that we had in place creating this company. But I think, moving forward, I don't know, it's hard. I think we really need someone that understands, that number one has the connections to, brokers and distributors in a way that we don't right now. And it's not to say that we couldn't do it ourselves, but the momentum is here now and we want to take advantage of that. And if we can find a right partner or get the funding to get those things in place immediately, I think that would make things so much easier for everybody. And we have a chance of really capitalizing on the momentum that we have right now to kind of grow this thing and let it explode.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. Great. Well, I mean, it is certainly fun to be meeting people that are doing what you're doing, going from 12,000 in 2014 to rounding up to 1 million in 2015. That's an amazing story. Any quick tidbits of advice for someone else that might want to be starting a craft food company from scratch with very little money in the tank? Like what was maybe one or two of the takeaways that you think would helped you do that big ramp up?
Yeah, I think that finance it's a complicated thing. I think that if people come into it with a ton of money in the bank, they already have a leg up, right? But I think that part of that also takes away from the hunger of like, I got to make this work because I don't have the money and I need to do this the hard way. And I think that's kind of the philosophy that we're under. But the flip side of that is that if you don't have enough money and if you don't set yourself up for success, you are going to hit roadblocks. And so prepare yourself for those roadblocks and be prepared to have to walk away from opportunities. And it sucks and it's a huge blow sometimes because you're like, I know that the opportunity, like for instance, we have Expo West coming up on the West Coast and an event like that could cost up to $20,000 and that's a lot of money right now. And, to be completely honest, I have to decide, do we want to spend money on that or do we want to spend money on accounts that we already have and develop and grow those? And so you need to plan. It's not something that you can really do and like fly by the seat of your pants. You have to have a plan of where you're going to be going in the next year and how you're going to get there. And, I think the biggest piece of advice I can offer anybody that is starting out a business is you have to know your trade. You can't just be like, hey, I got a great product and I'm going to go out there and sell this. You have to have something tied to the actual product, whether it's marketing and like really creating an amazing brand or, operations and logistics and being able to make the product. But you're going to have a lot of struggles if you're like, I've got this great product and it tastes really good, but I don't really have the tools to build this company and get it to the next step, right? And if that is you and you've got a great brand and you don't know how to get it there, then pull a partner in that can do those things for you and really run operations. Because that, if you don't know how to run the business, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah. And one of the things I thought of too when I looked at what you did so effectively is I feel like you really identified a trend. You identified a direction the market was going, and rather than trying to make a new market, you just kind of positioned yourself right in front of that wave. And it feels like you're just kind of riding that.
For sure.
Butter is taking off. It's been on the cover of Time magazine. It's been, all over the place. Butter's back, and that there's this people. I think in America are kind of waking up to ghee, and it's almost like back in the day when sushi wasn't well known all over the country, but it was starting to catch on. There were these brush fires coming up, and now even in Little Kerrville, Texas, where I live, you can't go anywhere without seeing sushi in every store and tons of restaurants, and it's just become widely accepted. So ghee, for those of you that don't know, haven't tried it, go get some ghee. It tastes like butter. It has the health benefits that we've come to know from butter, but it's better to cook with. It has a higher smoke temperature, and and so for those of you that struggle with dairy or dairy intolerance, it takes out the things that might disagree with different people's diets. So the lactose, it's yours is 100% lactose free, right?
We are lab tested lactose casein free. We're the only product on the market that has proof of results that show 100% lactose casein free, and we have a lot of customers that are highly sensitive, like anaphylaxis response to most ghees and butters. No response to ours, just because of our process and the quality of butter that we're using.
Awesome. Yeah. One last question before we wrap up. I always like to ask this of entrepreneurs. Do you have a favorite business book that you could recommend to our listeners today?
Yeah. So honestly, I wouldn't say book. I'm not one of those people that can sit down with a book and read it. I get kind of ADD when it comes to that. But the things that have helped me the most in the last few years is I have subscribed to multiple professional organization journals. So they have some for supply chain management, they have some for industrial engineering and food manufacturing. Mm-hmm. And I have those on my Kindle, or I have some printed out versions of them in the house that I subscribe to. I get probably 1 to 2 a week, and I read those things cover to cover. I'm looking at the ads on the inside. I'm looking at the people who are writing the articles. I'm looking at the companies that are being profiled. And I mean, more often than not, I'm referencing those journals and those trade magazines to either build connections or get ideas on how to help run the company. And so that's where I spend my time and effort. I probably should spend more on
Oh, that's great. You want to know your industry better than anyone else. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a great piece of advice. Well, I want to just thank you for joining us, Hema, here on Business Builder Radio. Tell people how they can find you and how they can find 10 Star Foods. Yeah,
so we're all over social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. And if you want to get a hold of me directly, you can contact me at hima@tinstarfoods.com, tinstarfoods.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, Hema.
Hi.
Hey, welcome to
Thinking of starting a new business? Why not buy one instead? 80% of new business startups fail within 5 years. But if you buy an established business, you turn the odds of success in your favor. TexasBusinessBuyers.com is the place to go to find profitable, Texas-based small businesses for sale. Whether you're looking to buy a business, sell a business, or just want to know what your business is really worth today, talk to the experts at Texas Business Buyers. Visit TexasBusinessBuyers.com or call 210-774-6800. That's 210-774-6800.
Hi, welcome back to Business Builder Radio. This is your host, Clint Fiore. We're talking about your life, your business, and getting the most out of both. We just had a wonderful interview with Hema Pandya, the GEO of 10 Star Foods, one of the best producers of grass-fed ghee in the country. and she's right here in Texas, right here in Austin. Check her out, 10starfoods.com. Now, again, I just love that story. It's got all the classic entrepreneur elements. I wish we could have gone into more depth, but it's just a great story. And it's a story of health as well. And if you start getting healthy, you get to be better as an entrepreneur. You get to be better as a spouse. You get to be better as a parent. And I want to encourage you all to take your health seriously. Learn about nutrition, get in good exercise habits, get in good nutritional habits, and you will be a better entrepreneur. So, what I want to do here is tell stories and give advice that you can apply to your life. And getting healthy is one of the best pieces of advice I can give to you aspiring entrepreneurs out there. So this show continues. I want to go into my next interview. Before I do, I want to set it up a little bit. One of my favorite books is called Getting Things Done by author David Allen. And David Allen is a productivity expert that teaches about how to organize your life and basically a framework of how to be productive. And if you struggle with feeling like you're spinning too many plates and just spinning your wheels all the time and always in reacting mode and not able to do the things that you know you need to do every day because you're just reacting to this onslaught of everything that's flying at you every day, then read Getting Things Done. I can't recommend this book enough, and I'm always going to be recommending books on this show. I think people that read are people that lead, and so check that out. One of my big takeaways from Getting Things Done is that if you're going to be productive in life, you can't mentally be spinning a whole bunch of plates. You have to have what David calls mind like water. This is from Eastern martial arts type of mindset, and David studied martial arts for many years. But basically, the concept is you're no good in a fight in martial arts if your mind is elsewhere. You have to be completely present with a clear mind in the moment if you're going to operate at your maximum potential. And as an entrepreneur, there's a certain truth to that as we go through all these struggles of the day, we need to be in the present. We need to be able to focus and really apply ourselves one-dimensionally at times into something we know we have to do. And in order to do that, I think you have to learn to clear all the other junk out of your head and all the other stuff that's spinning around the plates you're keeping spinning. And David Allen lays out a really comprehensive methodology of how to do that with getting things done. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the next interview here in a second, but I'm going to talk to you about an app I use to help get everything out of my head onto lists, a reliable place. I like to use technology to my advantage, and there's an app called Centrallo. It's one of my favorite new apps. I use it on iPhone, but it's available on Android, and you can also use it on your computer. But it's basically a place where I can put all the lists of all the things I need to do at work and all over and at home and everywhere else, so that I can trust I know where everything's supposed to be. It kind of organizes my life and lets me live in the present moment. So I am privileged to have Michael Scher on today, the CEO of Centrallo. So we're going to go to my interview with Michael.
Okay.
Hi, Michael. Welcome to Business Builder Radio. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Clint. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I have the CEO of Centrallo. It is one of my favorite new apps. And this was a connection of a friend of mine that introduced me to Michael. And I just love his story. I love what he's creating. And I wanted everyone to be able to benefit from hearing a little bit about Centrallo and his background. So welcome to the show. We're just going to have a quick interview here and hopefully give us some good insights that can help many of our listeners that might be wanting to start a business with an app, and I would love to hear your insights on it. So first off, who are you? What's your background?
So my background, believe it or not, I started in commercial real estate in the late 90s, 1989 actually, in San Francisco. I was a real estate broker, and I did that for about 6 years. And when technology was beginning to get very popular around the Netscape days in the mid 90s, 95, 96, I started getting the urge to potentially do something different. And Coincidentally enough, I cold called a CEO who had just been named from Motorola at a tech company down in Tennessee. And I wanted to represent him in the real estate business and helping him expand his operations, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, "Hey, we're looking for a real estate guy that knows real estate, and that's going to be our first vertical. Why don't you come down and have an interview?" So he flipped the tables on me completely, and I ended up joining a company called iPix, Internet Pictures Corporation, which ultimately went public, did a secondary round of funding. I'll never forget it. And then ultimately I left in September of 2000, but I was there for about 3.5 years or so, and helped build the brand. And I got the technology bug ever since.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So have you built other technology-oriented companies before? Is this your first one?
Well, actually, yeah, good question. As a result of 9/11, I live in New York City, and I lived in New York City. I've been there since probably since '97, when iPix coincidentally asked me to open up the office at Rockefeller Center and run the sales office. But yeah, I've been in the technology world since '97, and a friend of mine, I bumped into a guy just randomly running in New York City. It's just a crazy New York City story. Who said, "Got a friend of mine that's thinking of has a really interesting idea. You might be able to help him with it." And the net is I ended up helping to co-found a company that's thriving today. It's called SendWordNow, SendWordNow.com. And that is a emergency notification voice and text alerting provider that we essentially created as a result of our difficulties communicating during 9/11 in New York City, with the Verizon tower being down, and I had just gotten married, and it was very difficult to reach my wife. And the net is we wanted to make a difference, and we ended up doing a lot of enterprise and government deals, and the company's doing great today. I was there for about 8.5 years before venturing into Centralo.
So you were one of the first emergency notification companies on the internet. Is that correct? I mean, I remember that. I mean, we all remember 9/11, but you couldn't call anybody. You couldn't know what the status of your loved ones were, and it was very difficult. I remember my cousin that was at NYU. We didn't know for it seemed like a day or more if he was alive or how he was doing, and so SendWordNow was basically out of that, something that when an emergency happens, it's kind of more of a robust system that can instantly notify large groups of people about things. Is that basically what it was?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, you're doing your best with this technology to ensure that a message gets received in a timely manner. So it's really a blast. You type a message and it gets translated to speech and or sent via text. So a message can be sent to your email, mobile phone, SMS, a phone call, phone rings, multiple phones ring. And the whole point is, as a result, again, of 9/11 and the inability to communicate consistently, we started this. And as I said, almost, I guess it was right after 9/11. So, 12, 13 years later, the company's, strong and striving and thriving right now, which is great.
Yeah, I've met one of your former partners in that company, and he told me a little bit about it. So it was a fascinating story. And you worked with organ donors, is that correct as well?
Yeah, that was one of the, right. Yeah, we did. We worked with organ donors and helping essentially save lives. When there was a match, there were alerts that were sent using our platform to connect the donors and the ones and the recipients in need of vital organs. So yeah, that was a very important milestone in the company's history in terms of, really giving back and making a significant difference in saving lives.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. So what ended up happening with that company? Was it sold? Did it go public? What happened?
The company's privately held, doing very, very well. Major real valuation, real revenues, profitable, and the company's doing great right now, expanding internationally like a weed. Essentially, I'm still a pretty significant shareholder, and I care deeply for the company's success. And so far, knock on wood, everything's going great.
Okay, great.
It continues to go great. Yeah.
So you came on here to talk about your current company. I want to shift gears.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about Centralo.
what is it for those that haven't touched it yet? Where can they get it? What is it? What does it do for people?
Centralo is a cross-platform productivity tool that helps people centralize important information. It's available today live, free. It doesn't cost anything. We have a freemium model, so our users subscribe based on a free service through their iPhone, their iPad, Android devices, web. We also have an Apple Watch product, and all information is cross-platform and synchronizes. So the more people use it, the more they enjoy it. Ultimately, we hope that the majority of them end up converting to premium service, which is $5 a month. So it's a freemium model, similar to Dropbox and Evernote in terms of those kinds of subscription-based businesses.
Okay. So would you say your main competitor is Evernote, or what would you say would be your main competitor?
Well, I mean, we're all about Centralo's theme really is around helping people catch everything that life throws at them. And we can, if you want, we can go into the story about why I actually started it.
Yeah,
but in terms of in terms of the main kind of competitive landscape, it's really narrowed down to the big guys. I mean, Evernote's a company that's raised over almost $300 million. They have over 150 million registered users around the world, of which 70% are outside of the United States. So it's a pretty significant opportunity for us. Microsoft is very active in the space as well. I mean, Microsoft has a product called OneNote. Google has a product called Google Keep. And Apple has a product called Apple Notes. So we really, we believe we fit in that particular area around helping people take notes, organize themselves, share information, etc.
So what in the world makes you think you can compete with a Microsoft or Google or Evernote or these multi-billion-dollar corporations as the David and Goliath story? What makes Centralo different? What makes you think you can compete in that sort of landscape?
Well, first of all, even if and when Centralo captures a fraction of some of the tens of millions of users that some of these other big players have, it's still a significant business. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
We don't plan on being a Google or a Microsoft or an Apple, but we work with a lot of their existing users and have actually, I guess, I don't want to say stolen because it's not the right word, but a number of their existing users who have been faithful for a long time, across all of those companies we just talked about, especially Evernote, have begun to head towards the Centralo window, and it's really nice to see. We take one of our differentiators, I'd say, is we have a hierarchical list structure where you can have actually lists inside of lists inside of lists inside of lists at any hierarchical level, and then they can be shared at any level as well. And the Centralo was spawned as a direct result of my personal inability to manage myself, between business and a family and children and a wife and friends and a very busy social schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I found all this information was piling up in lots of different places, and there was no central place for me to organize the most important things and put them and share them if I needed to. So after checking out Microsoft OneNote and checking out Evernote and all the leading productivity tools that are designed to make my life easier and
Mm-hmm.
make people's lives easier, it just didn't work. None of the tools out there worked for my particular workflow. So in 2012, late, my brother invested a small amount of money in the idea and suggested that we go for it. What else are we going to do? And we, since we have experience, since I have a lot of tech experience in terms of helping companies from an embryonic stage be successful, and there's two case in point examples which we already talked about. Felt like giving it a whirl, and 3 years later, and here we are, and we're getting users every day, and we're converting users every day to paid subscriptions, and it's the most exciting time of my life as a professional, to be very entrepreneurial and to be my own boss, but to have accountability to our investors. We have 12 investors and we desperately and definitely want them to have a significant return on their investment. So we work really hard every day, not just for the return, but to make a difference in hopefully millions and millions of people's lives around the world in terms of helping them be much more in control of important information.
So it's basically bringing together your to-do lists, your notes. You can capture stuff from web pages. You can use it on desktop, use it on your phone, and everything's just cloud-based stored. And then I've been playing around with Centralo, and I'm really fascinated by it because I am a personal productivity nerd. And I found Evernote, which is, I know a lot of people that are productivity nerds really dug into Evernote. I never really took a shine to it because it seemed overly complicated to me. And then I've used some very simplistic apps that seem a little bit undercomplicated. They can't do some of the things I wanted to do. And what really turned me on to you and made me want to talk to you is it seems like you're finding this middle ground, this sweet spot for people that want to be organized and want to categorize their lives, do lists within lists, maybe integrate with their calendar just to keep on top of things, but made something that the average person can quickly, in 5 minutes start using and applying to their lives. Is that kind of summing it up as far as the user experience?
I think you're an ideal user. Like, that's perfect. We have there's the basic capabilities where you simply tap a plus sign and add some information, call Clint or pick up trash bags for the house or register your son or daughter for, class. There's the very simple rudimentary tasks that you can create or just basic notes that you can write down. And for the more advanced users, you can take those notes and then put them into structure, add structure around them. So for example, I have a list called trips, and inside we just booked a trip to Disney World for my family. This is a little bit more of the advanced use case, but quite frankly, it's pretty simple. So the hotel confirmation, reservation confirmation, the 4 flight reservation confirmations, and the rental car, the Hertz rental car confirmation were all sent to me via email, right? Everyone gets confirmations, and those were forwarded into my Centralo inbox. So Centralo offers the ability to, forward information and forward links into a central place. And when you have time, you can then organize it, read it, review it, share it, delete it, archive it, whatever you want to do. But it was very easy for me to essentially, tick those 6 forwarded emails, create a list inside of a list that already says trips with other trips involved, included, and then just type, make a list called Orlando and drop them in there, and then share the list with my wife. So now she's got it on her, not only in her calendar, but also on her own phone. And it's all, again, cross-platform, available, real time. Everything synchronizes within seconds globally. And, that's a little bit more of an advanced use case, but it's not that so advanced. A question that, a basic user wouldn't be able to pick that up within, a few minutes.
Yeah,
tutorial maybe.
I really like, being able to share things with my wife that are specific to us, and then have her see those things, but other things that are related to my business that she doesn't need to have constant updates on. I don't have to share with her, and then we can coordinate our calendars a lot easier, and our to-do lists a lot easier. So I think that's really great for people with spouses and families that have a lot to juggle, a lot to keep up with.
That's a good point. For example, my wife just left recently the house to go food shopping, right? So she said, whatever you need, just make a list in Centralo and share it with me. So it's really cool. Normally in today's world without Centralo, people are, you're texting your wife or your significant other, right? Here's what I need, or you're emailing, right? But if you have to update that list, what do? You just forward the email and add a few more items. It gets very confusing and tedious. And that was one of the problems that, we wanted to solve with Centralo. So I share the list, I update it in real time, and literally within seconds, she just gets any update and can just tick, 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 check it right off. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I want to encourage all of you that are watching and listening to go check it out. Is the website centralo.com, or what's the website?
www.centralo.com. You can go to the App Store, as I said, the Play Store, Google just featured us actually internationally as a featured app of the week. So we've got, and that was all in all of the app stores that they control, the Play stores, with the exception of the US. So we're actually being submitted in a couple weeks for feature there. And we're also working on feature in the United States App Store via Apple. But yeah, you can get it through Apple. You can get it through Android. You can go to the web, centralo.com, download it for free. And by the way, we didn't talk about this, but one of the ways, we mentioned earlier that Evernote has 150 million registered users. How many of them are active? We have no idea. However, we have, Centralo as of last week, just released an Evernote note import wizard, which allows any Evernote user to export a section or a complete database of notes from their Evernote account and import them into Centralo seamlessly. So we've had hundreds and hundreds of users. I think the last count was 536 who actually have imported a subset of notes, if not all of their notes, from Evernote. So we're just getting a lot of the really positive feedback about the experience so far. For the most part, it's been pretty significant, but that was a significant milestone in the Centralo, life, a 3-year life today. And
that's pretty genius. I heard about that.
Yeah,
and just want to give you props for that because I saw that in an email newsletter that you're making it so easy for people to just convert over without losing anything. And come over to the Centralo environment from Evernote. I thought that was really cool. And when I was doing a little research on your company, it looks like some big power users that were really well known on Evernote have kind of publicly endorsed you guys. Is that correct?
Yeah, a number of them have. We're positioning Centralo more as a complement as opposed to a there's no necessarily a reason to compete in a huge way. Right. I mean, they're a real brand. They're an established brand. They've invested tens of millions of dollars to build their brand and to grow their market. So, the biggest difference between us and Evernote is that, there's no hierarchical list structure. It's just a lot of, notes and notes and notes and notes that can be put into, notebooks, but it's not as clean as, what Centralo has developed. So, those Evernote users that want to give Centralo a try, and or switch and or use both simultaneously. We've heard the stories run the gamut. Some have switched completely to Centralo, some are using them side by side, and whatever works for your workflow works for us. We keep improving the product, and we're going to be adding artificial intelligence to the back end as well, so there'll be a lot of kind of suggestive places we recommend that you may want to put your notes. So we're trying to get a lot smarter, and those are big differentiators when it comes to some of the key competitors that we've already talked about. So a lot more to come.
So intelligence, you have some location-based stuff where I can say, hey, remind me to do something when I am somewhere. Do you have any of that built in yet?
Yeah, yep, good question. We have location-based reminders, which
Cool.
is really cool. So for example, when if I'm driving somewhere, I was actually in New York City about a week and a half ago, which is where I live, and we were driving. I was in a taxi around 11:30 on my way home, but we drove by within a geographic radius of a bar that I wanted to check out. That got a great review. Should be pretty cool late night scene, and I wasn't even thinking about it, and I got a location-based reminder because I set it in Centralo. If you drive within this radius, these parameters, then let me know that in the Bowery there's this really cool bar. So I ended up, popped up within about a mile of the location, and I ended up popping in. It was really cool. Had a drink, saw a friend, and coincidentally, it was a Centralo reminder, just random, which was really a good use of the application. But yeah, we do have location-based reminders, and it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, we're going to go to a quick break, but check out Centralo, get your life and get your business organized with Centralo. We'll be right back on Business Builder Radio.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. A prosecutor in Michigan has charged a man with 6 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and a series of random shootings in western Michigan. Prosecutor Jeff Getting filing the charges today against Jason Dalton of Kalamazoo Township. Dalton appeared in court a short time ago for arraignment. Some of the victims, as well as family members in the mass shootings in San Bernardino, California, have been openly supporting the U.S. government's stand that Apple should be required to help the FBI hack into a locked iPhone in connection with the terrorism investigation. Donald Trump's been getting advice from New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani as he gradually expands his tight inner circle. The Trump campaign manager confirms Giuliani has been informally advising the GOP presidential frontrunner. The Dow up 215. More details at srnnews.com.
Do you have a family member who's getting older and can no longer be safely left alone? With Visiting Angels America's Choice in Senior Home Care, your parents and older family members can continue living at home and not have to move into a nursing home. Experienced, compassionate caregivers provide assistance in hygiene, meal preparation, and light housework up to 24 hours per day at affordable rates. To restore your family's peace of mind, call Visiting Angels toll-free today at 877-374-LIVE or at visitingangels.com.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business, open an online store to sell your products, start a blog, build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a free domain with website from GoDaddy.com, starting at $1 a month. Annual purchase of website builder required. Price valid first year only. See website for details.
Dr. Doppler with your first alert forecast. A slight risk of severe thunderstorms across the area tonight as a disturbance approaches from the west. We're in a lull right now, but I'll still keep a 20% chance of showers in our forecast for the rest of the day through 6 p.m. Then I'm bumping rain chances up to 80% during the evening and overnight hours, especially late tonight. Some of the storms later tonight could produce some hail and damaging wind gusts. I'll keep you posted. I'm meteorologist Kerry Burgess, and have a great day.
Welcome back to Business Builder Radio. I'm with Michael Scher, CEO of Centralo, one of my favorite personal productivity apps, helps keep your life and your business organized. This show is all about your life, your business, about getting the most out of both. And we just had a great in-depth conversation about Centralo and about the user experience. But Michael, if you want to take just a few minutes, I'd like to kind of do a bonus lightning round with you. And, you know, I have people coming to me all the time that are starting businesses or they have an idea for an app. And man, starting an app is something so many people want to do, but very few people actually know how to do it. So while I've got someone here that has successfully put apps into the iOS store, into the Android store, started to get some major traction and some major positive reviews, man, I just want to pick your brain for the benefit of our audience of how did you do that? And I want to dispel some myths as well. So first off, one of the first things I always hear is, I want to do this app, but everybody's telling me it's going to be $100,000. How much money did you start when you first started this app with? What did you start with money-wise?
$5,000. A commitment of $10,000. I mean, I had money, but I was, going to commit to putting a lot of time into this. So I figured, and so my brother was the first person to commit to a $10,000 investment. So with that $5,000 investment, I ended up spending most of that on a consultant, very well-respected technology consultant who essentially helped me get the ideas that were in my mind onto a whiteboard so that we could at least kind of lay out what a prototype potentially might look like. But, very, very little money, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I mean, eventually, when you begin to, formalize things and things start falling into place, over time, you'll need that kind of money, but it may not be till a year down the road or even longer until your idea has baked a lot more than just, coming out of your head onto a whiteboard.
Okay. Well, surely you know how to code, right? I mean, when you talk about, we started this thing at $5,000 and then you've raised, is it close to $1 million to date now, right?
Yeah, we've raised just under $900,000 from 12 investors, but that's been over a 3-year period, right? A little over 3 years, actually. We're in February of 16 now, middle of February of 16. We the first money came in November of 2012. So, and this idea has been brewing for a couple of years prior to that. So, it's been around for a while. Yeah. But I'm not a coder. No, I'm a business development, relationship builder, strategic, high level, thinker, creating win-win-win situations, right? For not just whatever company I've been working for, but the client, the customer. So creating lots of win-win situations. But no, I don't know anything about technology except
what you want it to do
how
for you.
how to download apps and how to learn how to use apps. But I'm on the complete opposite side. I'm not a coder. You don't need to be a coder to start an app or a company.
That is so refreshing to hear, because I've been part of a technology startup myself. It has a similar story, and I don't know how to write a line of code. And for those of you listening on Business Builder Radio, I just hope you're encouraged by that. You don't have to be the person that knows how to code, but if you know how to tell a story, how to meet a need, how to put people together, money will come. Coders can come alongside you, and I guess you probably have people on your team now that are kind of skin in the game developers. Is that right?
Oh yeah, we've got an amazing group of folks that are developing Centralo. It's been an amazing experience to watch and to participate and to be pretty active as the team has sort of evolved and has built lots of cross-platform functionality for Centralo. It's been an amazing experience. The one piece of advice that I would give your listener base and your viewers is apps and companies in general are easy to start, but you've really got to have the passion, and you've got to have the fire, and you've got to have the vision and the persistence and the belief that what you have is better than anything. And no matter what happens, you've just got to keep believing and believing and believing. You got to have the passion. You can't start a company basically by saying, "Oh, I've got this cool idea. Let me see how it goes." Mm-hmm. It's, I really believe in this. I'm going to put my heart and soul into this thing. Mm-hmm. And I've put my heart and soul into this for the last 3 years, in addition to balancing the whole fundraising and the development and the family and the 2 children and all of life's responsibilities. And thank the Lord, we have Centralo. I have Centralo to keep myself organized, because if I didn't, I don't know how I would, make it. I would be a quarter as organized as I am now. Awesome. It's really made a difference in a big way.
Yeah. So I'm getting a formula out of this that I've seen over and over again. That's, you take a big idea, a little bit of money, and you take massive action. A lot of action, a lot of commitment, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And that's how you build a business from scratch. And then money follows and accomplishment follows. But you have to be willing to put in the work and put in the time. And it's clear you're doing that, Michael.